Well, we're back. It's been a while.
We're back, baby.
It's been a couple weeks since the old Danny Goki episode.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about Danny?
Danny was deep.
It was deep. It was deep. You know, an occasional tease on a Pop-Tart, but outside of that.
Yeah, I didn't know the backstory behind that. And so I was like, don't you be messing with my buddy Tim and his Pop-Tarts? Like,
He did get a little into that, didn't you?
yeah, I was like, you know what? Tim can eat a Pop-Tart if he wants to eat a Pop-Tart.
A little backstory. Danny and I were teasing each other in the green room. They were having breakfast, and they were having a good breakfast. And I walked in with Pop-Tarts and said, "Hey, anybody want these?" And Danny made a comment about how bad they are. I said, "Yeah, but they're so good."
They're so good.
And so that kind of continued into the podcast that week. But thanks for defending me. Thanks for wanting to step up and protect me. Yeah, but Dan, it was great having Danny.
Yeah.
I think Danny brought something we haven't had here. A name, a recognizable name. He came in. I don't think many people expected him to go as deep. Mm-hmm. You know, we kind of gave him the floor, which is what this podcast is. It's just wide open sometimes. And I thought he did a really good job just kind of sharing from his heart.
Yeah.
He walked in with a 47 hat. Come on.
Yeah.
You know, he wears what his beliefs are and where he leans and very strong. Fortunately, we didn't go too deep into all of that, but fortunately he was able to share a lot about his family and so forth. But it was fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
So what have you been up to, Tim?
Well, I tell you, I'm trying to heal still, and I'm feeling better day by day, but it is so slow and it's frustrating because what I've been up to is the increase of weight. Being inactive and just walking is not enough, and I get lazy, and then I get hungry when I'm lazy, and it's been no bueno. So I'm now on this whole protein only kick trying.
Man,
So no
that's a
Pop-Tarts.
sad life.
I know. No Pop-Tarts right now.
I'm really loving, if you could see Tim right now, Tim is wearing an Arkansas hat, and it just makes me so happy. We've got a convert in the house.
Yeah, I'm all in on Arkansas. I go on ESPN every morning and go right to baseball, college baseball, see how we did. I look at softball, see how Arkansas did in softball because we're ranked in the top 10 in softball. We're in the top 25 in baseball. Even though we're struggling this year in baseball, pitching's a little weak. But overall, yeah.
Friday night, I'm going to carry the team. I'm singing the
national anthem
on
Nice.
Friday night at the Georgia game, 7 p.m. If anybody wants to come, I'll be there.
Yeah, I have another volleyball tournament. I've been doing a lot of volleyball tournaments, so it's taken me away from Sundays around here. I finish up in 2 weeks. We'll be all done for this season. So I knew that April and the beginning of May was going to be busy, you know, on the end of volleyball season. But that's what really has been taking my focus and getting into church season of creating, and you know this, Rachel, since you worked at Community Bible, it's budget season. Mm-hmm. And this is the season we start meeting with everybody, look at budgets for 26-27 year. And, hey, speaking of 26-27 year, big announcement. I got to get my sound effects going here. Let's see if I can do it. Hang on. Let's see if I can.
Hey, big announcement.
Big announcement. And then, yep. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are an avid follower, we are going video podcast next year, season 3. Woo-hoo!
Technically this year.
So in the fall, starting in September, when we launch season 3, episode 1, we will be going video. So we will still be available on all your platforms, Spotify, Apple, all that stuff. But we also we will be creating a YouTube channel that will be for the 61st Minute podcast, so you can see us, and we will
see our beautiful faces.
Yes,
and you can see Tim's Razorback hat.
There you go, and everything we talk about will be right on the camera, and we will have a studio that looks really cool, and so it's gonna be fun. But we are gonna up our game a little bit next year.
Super cool.
So today you are all listening to the finale of season 2. We've made it through 24 episodes, and it's been a great season. And I am so excited to say that Rachel, my co-host, will be a part of season 3.
Yeah, I'm excited. You know, I have really enjoyed doing this. It's been fun to get to know you better. Like, I would say when I first started, I knew you just a little.
You judged me.
No, I didn't judge you. But getting to know you and know your heart, and like, it just is so good to sit down and have a conversation every week. And it's a lot of fun, and just fulfilling that lifelong dream of mine to feel like I'm on the radio.
You know, I've always wanted to do a podcast. And so when this all came up, when we first started this 2 years ago, I was really excited. And now it's just part of the rhythm of what we do is we get to do a podcast. And I think next year, you know, we try really hard to get it out on Wednesday morning. That's the goal, is by 10 o'clock Wednesday morning. And obviously we're going to work at next year with video. That's going to have to be a structured, scheduled time. And there's going to be a lot of edits and all of that. But I too think that you and I work great in this setting. I've loved getting to know you and your family, and just hearing the stories of both of our families, what we go through, even in relation to the Sunday service. And that's what this is about. This is really a continuation of what was discussed and shared and what happened at church on Sunday. And we just go a little deeper sometimes, and sometimes we just go where God is leading us. And that's the cool thing about this, that there's going to be some structure, but ultimately it's kind of like, where are we going, and what's affecting us, what's touching us, what's having the greatest impact from Sunday, and how does that affect our week? And how do we then bring some levity, some seriousness, some depth, some encouragement, some challenge to people who are listening? That's what we're about. And
I'm really kind of sad that we're ending on the first lesson of this series, because this series is going to be so good.
Yeah, that's my fault, because we probably should have ended before the first.
I know, but
season,
man,
but everything was crazy. And
we had Easter. And Easter at Community Easter at any church is really big. Our church does Easter really well. But it is so busy.
It is, and this is the second season for me in my entire ministry career. Now that expands 36 years, where I get 3 Easter services because I go to the campuses. And so I attend all 3 of our campus Easter services. So it is overload on my head, and what I'm, what do we do right? What do we do wrong? What do we need to improve on? How are we doing? What was the celebration like? I mean, it was a big weekend. And then I can't even think about the people that were from Good Friday all the way through, because now that we include Saturday through Sunday, how tired they are. And that's part of the reason why we shut down for a week from doing this, because we give time off for people who just need a break. They need to rest. They need to get some time like that. But we are in a new series. We started it this week called, in quotes, Acceptable Sins. And these are the sins that we in society, Rachel, I think sometimes we would overlook, not recognize as serious sins. Like, there's the big ones. Hey, I didn't murder anybody this week, and didn't have an affair this week, and I didn't covet my neighbor's wife or covet their, that kind of thing. We go through the top 10 of the 10, then we go through the 10 commandments, thinking, okay, I didn't do anything wrong there. But these are the kind of these subtle ones, the white lies, the sins, what they call in the book of James, the sins of the tongue, or gossip, or the sins of judgmentalism. There's the sin of anger, the sin of that we're going to be touching at, grumbling and complaining, which I think will hit a lot of hearts pretty strongly. And then this week, self-control.
Yeah. Richie did a great job. He talked about just an overarching message about self-control and about these sins, and the 2 kinds of sins, the sins of omission and the sin of commission. And so the sin of commission is, I know it's wrong, but I still do it. And the sin of omission is, I know it's right, but I don't do it. And how we struggle with those in our lives. And spoiler alert, there are no acceptable sins.
Yeah, that's right. That's why it's in quotes.
Yeah.
Richie's our lead pastor, if you are listening, and maybe for the first time. And Richie, we were going into a different direction in this series, and Richie came to our teaching meeting one day and said, I really feel strongly we need to tackle this. And it just kind of, the fire started. I mean, it just lit us up like, it's time to challenge our congregation in these areas to be who God has made us to be. And it's the realization of commission and omission. And I think of also when it comes to omission, it's those things that we do, but we don't realize our sins. We're just doing them because either everybody else is doing them. No one's ever confronted me about it. And so I didn't know it was a sin. Or we look at it like it's no big deal.
Yeah.
It's a white lie. It's not hurting anybody.
Yeah.
Or, we're praying for the person. Really. It's not gossip. I'm really concerned. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the quotes that I wrote down that I really liked was, where self-control is absent, my sinful nature is usually present. And then he talked a little bit about, self-control and like maybe when it comes to our food and gluttony and stuff like that. And man, it challenged you because like not 10 minutes before the service, we had friends coming over for dinner and they were like, you want us to bring some Texas Roadhouse rolls? And we were like, yeah.
Yeah. They're the best. How do you say no to Texas Roadhouse?
Well,
rolls?
and like you get like 24 of them for 4 people, and we didn't eat nearly any of that. But like you're like, yeah, I could eat like 5 of these things.
And the worst part is when they're warm.
Oh yeah,
it's nonstop.
It reminds me of there was an episode of Duck Dynasty back in the day where Uncle Si says talking about warm donuts, hot donuts, and how they just like you can eat like 25 warm donuts, you can eat like 3 cold donuts. Like they just hit different. They just slide down different.
Yeah, they do.
And I feel like that way with Texas Roadhouse rolls.
100%. Yeah, they are the vein of my existence. I mean, they're just that good. You walk in, you're like, I'll have the steak, but bring those rolls.
Yeah,
now,
yeah. I just hold the steak, bring me the rolls.
Yeah, put the steak on the bill, but just bring me the rolls. Yeah, no, it is self-control is one of those things that, as I read the chapter in the book that we're referencing, but also as we're preparing these sermons. He talks a lot in the book about anger and losing self-control and anger. And I question this a little bit because Scripture talks about how to have righteous anger. He says that most anger is sinful. And I was like, I don't know about that. But I can see how anger can lead to someone falling into sin.
Yes.
A judgment, a word, an emotional or a verbal abuse through anger, a reaction that could scare somebody. An anger that's not healthy, that's out of control.
Yes.
He talked about, of course, the eating. Richie talked about self-control when it comes to even being tempted. How if we give into a temptation in one area, we will lack self-control in other areas of our life as well. Because if we don't have it in one, it's not like, oh, I have compartmentalized self-control. I can have self-control when somebody cuts me off in traffic. But when it comes to eating, I will lose self-control. So I can separate the two. You can't. Self-control that's why it's one of the fruit of the Spirit.
Yes.
It's a character trait that Paul talks about in Galatians chapter 5. And it's the last one of the fruit of the Spirit that ultimately, if you involve all of these, you'll have self-control. Mm-hmm. So it's a process to get to that level.
Yeah. And I feel like sometimes we pick and choose fruit. Like, okay, well, I have that fruit, so I'm good. Like,
right.
But God will very quickly, if you pray about it and ask for conviction, man, he'll convict you pretty strongly about the fruit that you're lacking in your life. And if you lean into that, man, he can change your life in a big way.
Yeah.
But self-control can be really tough.
And every day, you got to battle that.
Yeah.
Because once you lose control, you lose that self-control, it then begins to it can be something that spirals out of control, that it starts to affect everything, and you're left looking back. I think I had a moment the other day where I was at a tournament coaching in Oklahoma this past weekend, And where I have to really watch my self-control is my competitive nature. And when 15-year-old girls are making mistakes on the volleyball court that I believe they shouldn't make, and I forget that they're 15, it's easy to go from 0 to 100 in intensity or anger or yelling. And I'm not like that, but I feel that in me because I'm like, how could you do? I mean, and I have to, it's this battle, but then it evolves everything else. Then you start going, okay, if a parent says something that triggers me and I lose self-control responding to them, or somebody walks by me and nudges my shoulder, do I lose? I mean, so it's not just, okay, I lost self-control there, but it starts to really show up in other areas if you're not aware of it.
Yeah.
That's why it's because people just will write it off like, okay, well, I have self-control in other areas. No, you don't. You just mask it differently.
Yeah. It's going to be a great series.
Yeah. I don't know what.
It's going to be a very convicting series. Chris
Stacy, our pastor of administration, is teaching this week. And I'm trying to remember what, did they say what he's teaching on? I'm trying to remember. I should know this because I'm the week after and I'm on gossip. So that's kind of where my brain is. I can tell you
because I'm hosting this week.
All right, let's look it up. Yep.
It is on self-centeredness.
Oh, yeah. How many people are going to say, well, that's a sin? You know, isn't that just ego? Isn't that just being selfish? Well, yeah, there you go. Selfish. Yep. And then I have the gossip, and then I'll have another one in May on grumbling and complaining.
It reminds me of the song that I learned as a kid. It says, do everything without complaining. Do everything without arguing so that you may become blameless and pure children of God.
Never heard it.
I think it was a Steve Green song.
Ooh, yeah. I met Steve Green. He was at our church down in Texas one time for Christmas. Great singer.
Yeah.
Man, that's old school too.
Old school.
Going back.
I think we checked that tape out from the church library.
The tape. That's hilarious. So, where would you say, Rachel, that self-control outside of the Texas Roadhouse roles would be, for me, it's anger. It's something I've watched in my family. It's something that I have had to overcome in my marriage early on, where I was told several times by my wife, "You don't treat me well. You blow up. You raise your voice." And unbeknownst to me, only because my family did the same thing, and so I was used to them raising their voice. But so I've had to really work on that area in my life. Where is it for you?
Definitely gossip, and not necessarily like saying bad things about people. It's just like spreading information. That's a hard one for me. So I've had to work on that, and there have been seasons in my life and people in my life that have triggered that more. And it's just it's something I have to really guard myself against. Is you don't need to say that to everybody.
Yeah. So what about this week, self-control outside of the food thing? What else? Yeah. Where else do you see in self-control where that would be a struggle for you? Is there other areas in your life you go, I could really do better here?
I think it's just the overall concept of just discipline. Just being disciplined, and part of self-control is like you need to focus on yourself and like what God can do in you to control the things in your life and be more disciplined. So for me, I really need to work on right now just listening more.
Yeah, people like to talk.
Yeah.
We do. I mean, we like to hear ourselves. We like to tell stories. We like to, that's the thing. That's the battle, I think, with people who have stories. So often, and Rachel, you've been around a long time in church, you get it, somebody will talk to you and ask you a question, but it's really a setup for them to share what's going on in their life. And we really have, as those in ministry have to be okay with the fact that they're not really asking for you. They're asking to get something to allow them to share what's going on. And and I understand it. Some people come from worlds where they don't get a chance to talk. And some people come from worlds where they've been shut down. And so if you look at it from that perspective, that's self-control, because you could walk away, you could check out, you could switch off your brain and start thinking about something else while that person's talking. But to be fully invested, there is some self-control there. You got to be able to control the fact that this person has something that really concerns them that they're sharing with you. And that could be really difficult.
True.
Yeah.
But one thing, the three things that Richie left us with about self-control were: 1, admit your lack of self-control; 2, listen to the Holy Spirit; and 3, learn to say no.
Go a little deeper in that third one.
Learn to say no to the things that tempt you, to the things that knock your self-control out of whack.
No to that role. No to that, staying up for one more binge show, watching TV, one more, drink, one more, whatever it is. It's just saying no to, they could play a major role in self-control. Self-control is an interesting one because it really is a day-to-day thing. I think all of these are, but I think this one especially, driving for me, I leave my garage every morning with the intent on being at peace driving. And I try to see how far I get to the church before I lose that peace. For instance, last week. So I drive in from Van Buren and I get off at Grand Avenue. I go left at the light, and then I stop at the light, which is right by the Valero gas station. And you have to turn right to take that loop down there. It's called 66th. Well, there's another light coming, and there's a road between the oncoming traffic and me turning right. And I've watched people will, if I'm not the first one in line, they will zip in fast. Okay. So I'm first in line, and there's a lady in front of me. I'm doing really good, Rachel, driving in. I'm at peace, but I'm ready. I'm going to accelerate. I'm going to beat her because there's nobody in front of me. I got full sailing all the way to the church, and I'm not going to be held up. Well, she beat me. She zipped in and instantly dropped 5 miles per hour below the speed limit. Didn't want to wait for the 3 cars behind me, zipped in front of me, and now I have to follow her 5 miles per hour less all the way to Free Ferry, left all the way to 74th to Dallas Street, and I may or may not have ridden her butt on the car side.
Damn.
I know. I lost self-control.
You need to be listening to some Jesus music.
I probably had some on, and it wasn't getting past my stubborn lack of self-control. But You needed to listen to what I listened to this morning. It is well. It was not well. Not in my soul. No. And so that is where I lose self-control, is when I'm driving. And my wife knows it. She sees it. She's like, every time somebody does something, she goes, "You're going to look at him, aren't you? You're going to look at him. You're going to give him the look, aren't you?" So I've been working really hard on not giving the look.
I'm proud of you. Keep it up.
It's hard. I just want to look at him like, are you that much? Nah, I can't do it. So that's the area I have to work on every day. And I do. I leave my driveway thinking, I am going to be at peace. I'm going to only think about what this day is about and God in it. And then somebody does something on the road. And I'm like, you child of God, you child of God, I love you.
You are made in the image of God.
You are made in the image of God. You are the Son of the Most High. Oh man. Yeah.
What if those people would turn into our church?
I think about that all the time. Here's the other thing. Rachel, this is where it really impacts me, because I don't think about the fact that I live in a small town. And the people at Community Bible know me.
Yeah.
The people in the volleyball community know me. The people in the pickleball world know me. So there's a really good chance that who I'm singing Son of the Most High about in front of me is somebody I might know or that may recognize me. And I'm going, Tim, one day it's going to happen. One day it's going to happen. And they're going to pull into the church and you're going to go, oh, man, I'm so sorry.
So what this is an invitation to all you bad drivers out there. Please don't pull out in front of Tim and pull into the church on Sunday morning and ask for his autograph.
Oh, man. Oh, boy. Yeah, it's not good. Yeah, I'm working on that. But it has been a lifelong process for me to do that.
I love it.
Yeah. So that's
we know our weaknesses.
We are. Well, self-centeredness this weekend, and we're signing off.
It's been so good.
It's been fun. It's been great. It's been awesome having you here, Rachel. Love our friendship. Love that we can tease each other, talk deep, talk serious, talk fun, sing a little bit. You sing. I just make noise. We are going to hang up the headsets for season 2, and we will be back looking good, styling in September. So we'll be off until September. But you could always go back if you've missed any episodes of the 24th, season 2, on any of your platforms. You'll find us there. Check us out and share with your friends. We are the 61st Minute Podcast, a podcast of Community Bible, where we just go a little deeper after Sunday and talk about things related to the sermon and how they affect us and a lot of other good stuff and fun stuff too. So without any further ado, we're going to wrap this up. Rachel, it's been a pleasure.
It's been fun.
See ya.
See ya.